thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come in this morning and talk a little bit about the entrepreneurial mindset and the PowerUp Mindset. This is one of our sessions that we certainly deliver to thousands of entrepreneurs up and down the country. And it's a privilege to be running this in conjunction with Startup to Stand Up this morning. Just to give you a quick introduction, my name is Stewart Smith. I was with Startup to Stand Up earlier this year, talking a little bit about the NatWest Accelerator program, and we will cover that this morning as well. Just an introduction to me. I'm one of the local enterprise managers at NatWest. I'm actually on LinkedIn, so if anyone following this call today would like to connect in with me, usually some of the material content that we do share, we are sort of promoting that on our own channels, and certainly some about the NatWest Accelerator program as well. So please do feel free to connect with me. What I'm going to start off with this morning is a session that we cover with a lot of our entrepreneurs, certainly when we're doing this on a face-to-face basis, but also on a virtual basis as well. Today's session is around sort of 20-25 minutes, just to give us a little overview and allow us to embrace the PowerUp Mindset in this present moment in time. So everyone on this call, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to relax at this moment in time. I'd like you to close your eyes. The time is just gone 9:30. It's actually the middle of the week. It's Wednesday. Lots could be going on in our minds at the moment. So we could be juggling a lot of things like personal and business activities. You could be feeling very stressed at this moment, or you might have that right balance or feeling positive about the week, a week ahead. Now, at the moment, I've got everybody on my screen, okay? And in a few moments, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just scroll through some of the names that are on the screen. Good morning to Ollie. We've got Martin. Good morning to you. Good morning to Joe. Good morning to Lee. Good morning to Neil. Good morning to Lee, Peter, Andy as well. Now, in a few moments, I'm going to choose one of you at complete random. And what I'd like you to do is come on to the screen, and I'm going to ask you just to deliver your 60-second pitch. Now, I do apologize. I didn't get the opportunity to warn anybody that I was going to select them this morning. So I do apologize there. So I am going to say, are we ready? 1, 3, 2, 1. I am going to ask Peter Lovering to come on and deliver a 60-second pitch. Are you there, Peter? Hello, Peter. Philippa? You can ask Philippa this morning. Hi, Philippa. I'm not going to be cruel. Of course, I'm not going to ask you to deliver a pitch. I wasn't even going to ask Peter to deliver a pitch. Now, the reason I've run through that sort of brief exercise is I'd like you, and Peter, if you were able to unmute yourself, or Philippa as well, just to say exactly what's going through your head in that situation. Because you know what, think about it. I've asked you to unmute. I've randomly picked you with no prior conversation and asked you to present something that you maybe feel comfortable with, you may not feel so comfortable with. What's actually going through your mind at this moment in time when I called your name out?
Absolute dread.
Yeah, certainly very common reactions, certainly for situations like that. You can imagine when I've done these on Zoom before, people disappear when you're in a room of people have got nowhere to run. But thank you very much for bearing with us. But yeah, it's a very common situation. Anyone on this call actually felt, you know what, bring it on. I'm very much, and I'm willing to give that one a shot. Anyone was quite excited by maybe being selected?
Yeah, wasn't excited, but I would have done it.
You would have given it a go, Andy. That's brilliant. There's going to be a lot of people in there that's going to think, you know what, not in a million years am I going to do that. They're going to shy away from that situation. But if we examine the physics, all I've actually asked you to do is something that you've all done this morning is, do you know what? You would have talked to somebody, you would have had a cup of coffee with someone, or you might have had a sort of getting the kids ready this morning, or anything. You would have done it in your own personal lives. But when you start to examine the thought process to actually come off the screen and randomly start talking a little bit about yourself and what your business does, it can actually fear a lot of people. And that's an actually introduction to what today's all about. And today's all about mindset. And a quick summary of what mindset means. It's a collection of thoughts and beliefs that actually shape your thought habits, and your thought habits affect what you think and how you feel. And actually, mindset impacts on how you make sense of the world around you and how that makes sense of you. So a definition that you can take away of what mindset is today is the established set of attitudes that's actually held by an individual. Now, they say we are the actual product of 5 people that we spend the most time with. So if you think about, we can actually inherit attitudes and beliefs at any point within our lives. But really where that sort of sets off is actually back in our childhood. It actually starts to think, look, when we're actually a child and we go through to our early teens, brains are growing at that moment in time. We're starting to develop. Our entire body is developing. We go to school pretty much every day, and we're actually taking information in. But we don't just take it in between those school hours. We take information in all the time. So it's all about those friends that we're exposed to. It's about the teachers that we were working with. It's about our friends, our families, our brothers, our sisters, husband, wives, grandparents, every part of our interaction. And we innocently absorb all this stuff. Now, there's 2 types of mindset, and I'm sure everyone on this call will know what those 2 types are. There is the fixed mindset, which is the perspective that character, intelligence, and creative ability are fixed. And that is a position where you are not in control of that situation, versus where we want everyone to be in. And we appreciate not everyone's going to be into that mindset all of the time. Otherwise, we'll spend so much time doing things that perfectly work absolutely fine at this moment, is a growth mindset. And this is all about acknowledging when things aren't working and being curious enough and willing enough to do something about it. You can change and grow through application and experience. Think about it, that you are in control of that given situation. So what's interesting, actually, and we get this question put a lot to us about, why is mindset important to an entrepreneur? So we know what mindset is, but how does the mindset of an entrepreneur differ? Well, for me, it's about that certain way of thinking. It's about in which you approach challenges. It's about how you approach your own mistakes. It's about that inherent. It's about needing to improve your skill set. And it's about developing that confidence and resilience. It's about what you need to do to propel yourself forward. Now, during our days, you know what? Mindset can actually dim. It can actually dim at the points when we get entrenched in that daily grind of entrepreneurship. But trying to embody the mindset, you actually position yourself to meet everyday challenges and start to experience growth. And this is quite an interesting slide that I do share with a lot of entrepreneurs, because the journey as an entrepreneur is always never plain sailing. You've got your starting point where the cyclist is at the moment, and you can see that end finish. And it actually is never like that in true life. It's more like the one that's on the bottom, because there's always going to be ups, there's always going to be downs, but it's about how you develop the mindset and behaviors to actually cope with things like resilience, tenacity, confidence, that passion as an entrepreneur that you bring, and the courage that you certainly bring. I always look at mindset as being a tool to help you, a mindset being a tool to help your team, but importantly, really to help your business to thrive. Now, within our NatWest accelerators across the country, we share this little poster with all the entrepreneurs that are coming into our accelerator program, and we call it the PowerUp Mindset. And the PowerUp Mindset is actually made up of key behaviours that we recognise that are so important to early stage business owners. And it actually can sometimes be the difference between being successful or actually going down that failure route. And there are lots of things that entrepreneurs have to manage, exactly what I said earlier on in this presentation. But it's about things that you can learn and challenge yourself to have that key to success. So the list of traits on the screen, admittedly, are not exhaustive, but these are the ones that we feel that an entrepreneur or a business owner should have and should be working on. So if you've got an opportunity to got a camera there, if you want to take a screenshot of what's on there, I know you're recording this and you can go back to it, but think about the ones that you might feel comfortable with and think about the ones that you don't feel so comfortable with. So this morning when we asked you to come off mute and sort of give your pitch, if you thought, you know what, I'm always ready to pitch, and you felt comfortable with that, then you might be working on one of the other traits. If you don't feel so comfortable with that, then that is certainly a trait that you can actually start to work on. And you can challenge yourself regularly and do this on the ones that you don't feel so confident on. It actually really comes down to the fixed versus growth mindset. Now, I'm sure you've come across these terms before, but there is someone called Carol Dweck, and she'd done so much work on mindset. She's from the USA, Stanford University. If you Google Carol Dweck, D-W-E-C-K, she did a number of experiments that actually defined fixed and growth mindsets. And actually one that really stuck out with me was a session that she did with some high school children in the US. It was an experiment, and she put 100 school children into an exam room. The kids didn't know exactly what they were going in for, but they were between the ages of 12 to 14. So that would have been a couple of years younger than those that were going in for their GCSE exams. And it was the equivalent of like a GCSE exam. There are 10 questions on there, but all she wanted to do was measure their reactions. So when she said turn the papers over, 30% of the actual room turned the paper over and actually went, oh, really? You know what? I can't do that. I looked at question one, just can't do it. Now, think about the times that we would have done that in our own personal lives, just gone, you know what? I can't do that, and just switch straight off. The other 30% of the kids, so that would have been 60% of the room, actually had a very similar reaction, but they actually opened it and started question one. They read question one right to the very end and actually went, you know what, I really can't do that, and actually put the paper back down. That's 60% of the room straight away that have self-selected themselves out and never gave themselves an opportunity. The remaining 40% of the students actually looked at question one and said, I can't do that, but then tempted to look at question two and thought, oh, you know what, I can do that one. Can't do three, but I can do four, I can do five, and I can do six. And it was so on all the way through to the very end. They actually kept going for the whole of that experiment. Now, it's an interesting because the 60% versus 40% of fixed versus growth mindsets is actually an international average. But really what was coming up next was very, very interesting, because those kids that self-selected themselves out didn't just want to sit there and do absolutely nothing. What they actually did, they looked across at the kids that were working still and couldn't work it out. They're the same age, same year group, same knowledge. And what they tried to do at that point was very, very interesting. They started to try and distract. They were trying to put those other children off. Now, think about those things in life when a scenario that might happen, that we all tend to adopt that sort of attitude to try and put people off. And they actually try to distract all the way through to the final things. If you think about when you're in that fixed mindset, you need to latch onto that sort of scenario to help you feel the same way. So when you come across something that you want to improve, rather than saying that you're not able to do this, just change the choice of language and say, I'm unable to do this yet. Mindset is very much a spectrum, because the minute this morning when I asked somebody to come off the screen and give that open sort of pitch of the business of what you've done, and all I've asked you to do is just come on the screen and just introduce yourselves, at this moment this morning you may have been fairly low down on that spectrum. Within a few moments you may be very much high up on that spectrum, and it can work two ways. If you are absolutely fantastic at cooking and you entered the British Bake Off and you burnt a cake, all of a sudden that mindset could plummet very, very quickly. So look at the mindset as being a spectrum. It can go up, it can go down, but think about how can you get from the fixed to the growth mindset. And this is a tool that you can take away from today's session, because this is all about, are you above or below the line? This is about reinforcing the growth versus fixed mindset. And it's a tangible way to reflect on your own behaviors. And it's a tool that I would suggest that you might want to bring out moving forward. So the way this works is really, are you above the line? So this is the OR, and it's called ORBED. Ownership, accountability, and responsibility. I look at that as being the mindset of champions, rowing your boat where you want it to go. You're taking ownership, you're having that accountability, and you're taking responsibility for whatever that given situation is. You are at that moment speaking from the I. You're in control. You see everything, you do everything in the power, and you are taking ownership of that situation. If you look at the bottom part, which is BED, this is blame, excuse, and denial. It's the victim of mentality. You're making your bed and actually lying in it. You're blaming others, you're making excuses, and your denial about that given situation. You're speaking from the you at this moment in time. You are not in control. You're not likely to be doing anything about it either. And you're going to sit back and see what happens. And you don't take that initiative. And that leads on to a formula that, if you don't take anything else away from this session today, always remember this little formula here. E plus R equals O, which is whatever the event is, plus how you react to it, will always give you the outcome. So a question, what is actually stopping you having that growth mindset? A lot of reasons falls down to confidence. How you trust yourself in whatever that situation is. And the Latin for confidence is actually trust and belief in self. Think about it. Why do we actually lack confidence? How can we become a much more confident individual? Lacking confidence always comes up because you hear these things in your head, which is, you're not good enough. It's not going to work. Just give up. You'll never make it. What will people think? And this is very much about inner critics. And think about, when do you actually hear your inner critic? And what does it actually tell you? There's 5 inner critics that I've highlighted on the screen, and very much they are personally unique to every single person. But these are the 5 most common inner critics out there: the perfectionist, the pusher, the people pleaser, the diminisher, the imposter. For me, I relate to number 1 and number 3. Quickly run through what they are. The perfectionist is all about seeking perfection. It's about struggling with ambiguity, but always likes the plan. I haven't come on this morning and delivered this just off the cuff. This is all about sitting there thinking about, how can I present this to you in this short period of time this morning, just to make sure that we maximize everything this morning for you. The pusher is very much setting unrealistic targets, really generally an impatient individual. The people pleaser is all about trying to please everyone at the peril of themselves. And that's something that I've always sort of adopted and wanted to make sure that people are happy with everything that I'm trying to do for them. And the final 2, the diminisher, is about thinking, you know what, I'm just not quite good enough at this, and I really struggle to overcome failure. And the imposter is all about, they're not good enough or qualified to do something, and that is their belief. I'm going to ask you to share which inner critics that you relate to, but have a think about which ones that are most common to you. Whether you're hearing that inner critic in your mind, which is that critical inner critic, or whether it's that nurturing inner critic that you're feeling in certain situations. There's 5 things that you can take away from this very short session this morning. And this is my final slide. This is all about how you can go and develop the mindset further. And how you can develop that. Think about the language, because the scenario with that slide where I said about I can't yet, think about, if you can't do something, maybe just slightly tweaking the language to I can't yet. Reflection is always a good thing. You might want to just take some time out just to reflect on your behaviors, whether the day has been good, whether the day has been bad. Think about really how can you get yourself back into a growth mindset. Set your vision and be clear on your plan. Think about those goals that you're looking to set within your business. Think about your vision. Think about where you want to go. This will help you overcome some of those challenges much more easily. Triggers, meaning very much about the triggers that set you off on a growth mindset, or those triggers that set you on a fixed mindset. How can you recognize them? Importantly, how can you develop them from fixed to growth? Enjoy the journey. Think about that cyclist. There's always going to be those ups and downs, but making sure that you learn along the way. Learn from failure. That's a good thing. Use it as a tool to learn from. Stop making excuses and take ownerships of your attitudes. That's really, really important, because there are going to be some difficult times. It's about how you take that on board. And that leads us on, because we want business owners to have that growth mindset. Because if you feel that you've got that growth mindset and you're really looking to grow and scale your businesses, then the NatWest Accelerator program window opened yesterday for our September cohort. And the Accelerator program is a 6-month program. It's been endorsed by the Bohus and the Scale Up Institute as being the top UK accelerator in the UK for scale and growth. NatWest have partnered with Team GB for the Olympics in Paris. And this is all about setting those goals and really sort of going towards what your visions are for the business. And if you've got some big visions, let NatWest help you achieve those and go for gold. So the 6-month program starts in September, gives you access to 4 key pillars of support, really designed to help you and the business and develop you as a leader. As I mentioned, it is award-winning, but it is there to support businesses to grow and scale. There are 4 key pillars of support through the program. One of them is about funding. This is really giving you access of support to help you really identify the right funding for your business. We'll get you to join in with some experts and other entrepreneurs and other businesses, as they will be sort of sharing knowledge and expertise within the actual 6-month program. There's going to be through some selling as well. So we want businesses to look at growing their revenues. So this is a real sort of focus point in really honing in on your sales and really helping you think about how you can explore new markets and how you can plan for scaling. Leadership is all about building you a better leader, building your confidence, really helping you understand some of the tools that are available to you to build your capability, but importantly, build your team as well. And then belonging is all around that community aspect. It's about joining that vibrant community of other like-minded business owners as well through a virtual network, but also making use of some free co-working space that we have in Liverpool Street and Bishopsgate in London. And they are the key areas that we consider. So we want the business owners to be the decision maker. We want you to be focused on working on the business full time. We want to make sure that you've got a product or service out there already and customers are actually really wanting it. We want you to think about, have you got that goal to actually build a team? You don't necessarily have to be employing a staff at this moment, but if you've got that growth plan, bringing in staff is going to be important. And are you looking to grow and scale your business? Really, really importantly, have you got that growth potential? And are you coachable and ready to learn and develop? And if your business is already growing, are you committed to growing that growth? If the questions that, you know what, I'm in that position, then we would invite you to make the application. You could scan the QR code on the screen, or you can go into a search engine and just type in NatWest Accelerator program. You'll get a link and there'll be a little button on there, apply now. We'd ask you to complete the application in full. There is a high chance that once the application has been completed, you'll then be invited in for around a 10-minute interview, which will give you the opportunity to give us a bit more of a better understanding of the business and give you a chance to answer any questions that you've got. Once we've taken all the applications in, then towards around sort of August time, we will make then decisions of every application that's come in and then come back to you to confirm whether you have been successful in securing a place on the program that starts in September and goes on for 6 months, which will finish in March 2025. It's completely free. You don't have to be a NatWest Bank customer to join the program. There is options for businesses that do have a NatWest business account that you can repeat the program again and again. So we have offered that out to businesses that bank with us up to 18 months of support. But the initial 6 months is completely free, no equity taken out of the business, all there to support you as a business leader. Please do scan the QR code on the screen. If you liked a lot about that mindset session, there are other sessions as well through our NatWest Business Builder, but there is some great content on mindset, some videos, some workbooks that you can have a look at, and certainly how to develop that mindset further and faster. This morning, it's just gone 9:57, so just around that sort of time that I promised this morning. I'll hand back to the team at Stand Up to Startup for any questions that you might have from today's session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stuart. That was wonderful. And so much of the profile you're looking for business owners, it matches what we look for in members, which is wonderful. Any questions this morning for Stuart? Whilst we've got Stuart and Luke on the call. Lee.
Hiya, thanks for that. That was really, really interesting. Can I just check the qualifications from the company's point of view? So on your website, it says early stage startups. What do you refer to as early stage? Because from what I understand of businesses growing, and I obviously talk to a lot of companies that have been on the accelerator for NatWest, and it's always good things. One of the things that they reference is how old the business is during the accelerator program. So can you just give me some more details on that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the way the accelerator program has worked, certainly in the past, when an application comes in, it depends really on where that stage of that business is. So let's take it back a little bit further. You can't run before you can walk. So if you were a business that has just created the idea yesterday, you still haven't really created the MVP, you've got no traction at this moment in time, you may not have even raised any investment at this moment in time, the accelerator program would have been a little bit too early for that particular business, because the accelerator is never a no. It's about entering the business at the right time for the organization. If you've been trading a month or 2 months or 3 months, and you started off some really good traction, you know exactly that you can scale that business at a faster pace with certainly support and help, then they're the type of businesses that we want to bring on board. The leader that's got that growth mindset, that wants to grow and scale it. Now, you may not have had any traction, but if you've already secured some investment, we know that once securing investment, you can start to then build that business at a fast pace. So we do consider every application, but if you were pre-start, no traction, no investment, then maybe the cohort for September would have been too early. Maybe thinking about March 25 may be a better goal for you. But other than that, we would consider any application that comes in, and we're sector agnostic as well. So we have businesses from all different sectors.
So you don't cover pre-seed. If we're talking funding, it's not for pre-seed, it's for companies that have launched, got funding, or started to generate revenue.
Yeah, Luke, I just wanted to get clarification on that. Is that the situation currently?
Yeah. So exactly that. Probably a bit too early if I said you've not got sort of no traction. However, it is a case by case basis. I'm just looking at, only because the chat popped up, Catherine, who's on the call at the moment. She's on her third rotation with the accelerator, and she would have experienced businesses that have joined the accelerator that haven't traded yet, but they're on a really high growth trajectory. So don't let that put you off applying, because we do interview everyone, and if we can still add to your journey of growing your business, we will do. But I said, until we sort of dig a little bit deeper into your business and where you're at specifically, case by case, it's quite hard to say. But on the whole, to Stuart's point, it'd be those that have had slight investment and are trading already. But happy to pick up with you after if you feel you're not within that category, and I can point you in a direction.
No, I'm talking on behalf of clients who I think some of the messaging around the accelerator is just confusing for the scope, and I think it'd be good to have a conversation anyway, just to get more clarification over that.
Yeah, happy to do that. I mean, if you look at the definition of what is a startup, you go on NatWest, Barclays, HSBC, British Business Bank, and we all have completely different definitions of what is one. Some is 5 years, some is 2 years, some is 18 months, 1 year, 3 months, no turnover, $5,000 investment, $5,000. It's pretty open, but yeah, Lee, happy to pick up after. I'll send you a message on Zoom with my email. Maybe we can connect.
Mark's got his hand up.
Yeah. Thanks, Lee. Mark?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for the talk. It was good. 2 questions. So the first one is the program just advisory in nature, or does it include, I don't know, access to certain resources, be it design, development? Sometimes they can differ and have more kind of strings to the bow. So is the way that you deliver the support purely through advice, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so it would be delivered predominantly through coaching. Obviously, the benefit of the NatWest Accelerator, we are a large corporate bank, so we do hold some keys to some doors that we can unlock for you. Again, it is on a case by case basis, and what specifically you are looking for. But predominantly, a lot of the work is done through the coaching, the community, and the network, and sort of the NatWest contacts that we can introduce you with. But again, similar to what I said to Lee, it really does depend on sort of what you're looking to do with your business, and sort of where you're looking to go, and can NatWest support you. Again, I look to Catherine in terms of just on her third rotation. She's sort of been through that experience of where we've sort of helped her unlock some doors and partnering with NatWest and working with NatWest. So yeah, again, look, Mark, happy to catch up with you after, if there was sort of a real specific ask of what you wanted for your business.
Does it tend to be more sector specific? Obviously, being a bank, does it tend to be that you can unlock more more doors in fintech, or just wondering if there's any particular sectors that you have more contacts in than others.
No, so we're a pretty large organisation, and we've got sort of the benefit of being affiliated with Cooch, Drummonds, a part of sort of the NatWest RBS big umbrella. So there's no sort of sector specialisms that we have. We sort of a very generalist group. So as I said, can unlock doors, and within a sort of our commercial and corporate banking teams, we have sector specialists, whether it be food and drink, retail, hospitality, leisure, fintech, etc. So again, we can sort of connect you in with those.
Okay, cool. And so the last one quickly is, what are the obligations for the program, and how does it sit alongside other accelerators? So if I'm doing another accelerator program, how does it work if people are doing multiple programs, and do I have certain obligations to do to kind of be eligible?
Yeah, of course. So we do allow people to be part of multiple programs and accelerators, because ultimately you might be a part of one accelerator that's super specific to you and your business. Whereas to Stuart's point, we mentioned we are we are sector agnostic, but actually the coaching that you receive from us, the content you receive from us might be a lot more in depth from what another accelerator gives, or actually the community of entrepreneurs that we give you every 6 months you might enjoy that part of our program compared to parts of other programs. So like anything, the more you put into anything, the more that you'll get out. In terms of minimum expectations, we do like to sit down with you. Well, your coach that when you join the program will want to sit down with you minimum once a month. So that's one commitment. And then we host monthly events as well. And again, we would want you to be at those events that we run for you. But again, we appreciate that you are running a business, you're super busy, so we can be flexible on those. The only thing we wouldn't want to see is that you join the program and we just don't hear from you for 6 months. That's not what it's meant to be for. But again, I know it's a very vague answer, but it is a case-by-case basis. We've got some entrepreneurs that are in 5 days a week and they love it. We've got some that pop in once a week and that suits them down to the ground, but they're engaged through the other methods, through sort of our community WhatsApp chat, or they attend the monthly events, or they're at every coaching session. So again, just case-by-case basis.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mark. Any final questions? I want to say a quick thank you to Catherine, who probably a good few months ago now, maybe even a year ago, hooked me up with you, Stuart, and you, Luke. And it's been great having you part of the start to stand up community, coming in, talking on a regular basis with value. And that's fantastic. Thank you very much for coming in today. Any final questions from anyone? Catherine, did you want to just a quick talk from the sort of founder side on the experience and what you've seen through NatWest?
Yeah, really happy to do that, Ollie.
Thank you.
Something that Luke said is really important. You get out what you put in. And if you join and you sit back and you're waiting something happening, it's not going to. Getting involved with the community is really important. So actually, the physicality of that, there's a hub, it's next to Liverpool Street Station, so it's really accessible. So making the effort to go in there, whether it's once a week or maybe twice a month, really pays off, because what you're doing is you're speaking to other founders who are generally at different parts of the journey. That's good. I think the sector agnostic is really helpful, because working in tech, I get tick, 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 tick all the time. But when I go into the accelerator, you get a fresh perspective from founders, and I've found that really helpful. I think like any accelerator, Mark, you asked about the accelerator, there's bits that you will know. So there's information that will be shared that you'll say, oh, I know that, but you don't think that's a waste of time, because what that's doing is validating what you know. So that's great. But there's always something that you pick up at every talk, at every community event, and having your coach there to keep you, and it's about keeping you on track. It's not telling you what to do, and it's certainly not giving you a rap in the knuckles if you don't, you know, if you're not meeting your milestones. It's helping you understand why they're not being met, you know, what has gone wrong, what's going on in your life, or have you set the wrong metrics that you're trying to achieve within that period. I think it's a really good, well, obviously I'm on my third time and I've been accepted 3 times, so that's great. I really enjoy it. If there was a 4th go, I would be back. I'm just putting that out there, but I think we're looking at doing an alumni for the accelerator, but really recommend it to anyone that's looking to, you know, that's looking for a different community to stand up to startup and looking for support in scaling their business. You know, recommend it.
Thanks, Catherine. Stewart, thanks again for you and Luke coming in today. You're always welcome to join and any of our calls and bring your expertise and knowledge, because it's that incremental game. I found being on here this morning and just hearing one thing or 2 things or whatever that they can action and take away, and making an impact and a difference that can sometimes make a, you know, huge success change, and that's what we want here. So big thank you to you. Thanks to Catherine for giving the benefit of your experience on through the cohort and everything else. So guys, thank you again, and we're going to give you some love and some big ups on LinkedIn today, so get ready for that, Stewart.